Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and I appreciate you for joining me for this video where we talk about all kinds of things related to the Enneagram, how to be more awake, more alert, more present, not be zombies, not be on autopilot, to be more compassionate with ourselves and others. And I've been thinking about this topic of asking good questions, and I have three good questions for you that I want you to think about. First of all, let me just invite you to check out the description below as a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where you can book Enneagram coaching appointments, relationship coaching appointments, and there's information about educational opportunities, the certificate classes that I offer on Zoom. And also thanks to my patrons. I really appreciate your support for this channel. I know you don't have to, and I just appreciate your kindness and being with me in this. Okay, so here's three really good questions that I want to ask you. Number one is, who are you? And I think the Enneagram is really helpful in challenging us with who are you? Most of the time when people are asked that question, they tend to think of, the roles they play in life. Like they might think of their job. We might say, well, I'm a plumber, or I'm an architect, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a nurse. Okay, so that's the job you do. So who are you? Well, then we might move to our relationships. Well, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I'm a dad. I'm a brother. Okay, that's your place in the family. But I could be a son, a dad, a brother, and a grandfather, and all these things. And not one of those roles clearly defines me because I occupy them all at the same time. Sometimes people might point to their geographical location or the nation they live in. They say, I'm an American, or I'm an Australian, or I'm a Floridian. Okay, so that's where you are on the map. That's where you live. But that's also, not, if I move, then that doesn't change who I am. Or a big one in our culture right now is our race, my skin color, my national origin, or my biological origin. And people identify strongly with sometimes their skin color, or where they came from, or their gender. I'm male, I'm female, or I'm non-binary, and so again, okay, you are something, but that's still not fully defining who you are. Or their political views. I'm a conservative, I'm liberal, I'm a libertarian. Or their religious beliefs. I'm a Baptist, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I am Catholic. Again, these are all very helpful in sharing your beliefs or your origin or your context, but who really are you? What's your identity? What is essentially you? Who is this person that you are? Well, we might look at our personality, and you might say, well, I'm an INFJ, or I'm an ENTP, or I'm a otter lion. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a disc: beaver, otter, lion, golden retriever. It's very helpful. It's another personality tool. Or you might say, I'm a 2, or I'm a 6, or I'm a 7 wing 8, self-preservation. And so we've got all these tools to help us understand more about ourselves, but even that is your personality. If you have a personality, then it would suggest that there is a person with a personality. So who is the person behind the personality? Now that you think you know who you are, okay, you are a 6 wing 5, social, Christian, libertarian. Now that you know who you are a plumber, an architect, a brother, a husband, a wife, an American. Now that you have all of these markers to help you understand who you are, then here's the question I have for you. Who are you now that you think you know who you are? Part of one of the goals here of learning about our personalities is so that we can know our personality so that it no longer gets in our way, so that one day we can begin to set aside our personality and really get to know the person underneath. Most of the time, people identify with one of three things. I am what I do. Think about 8s, 9s, and 1s. I am what I do. Or I am what other people say about me. Think of 2s, 3s, and 4s. Or think of the third one. I am what I have. Think of 5s, 6s, and 7s. I am what I do. I am what others say about me, or I am what I have. And all of those seem to fail ultimately at defining us as persons. But what if you suddenly became unable to do your job or to do all the things you used to be able to do? Or what if everybody talked poorly of you and everybody thought you were awful or evil? And what if all your possessions were taken away from you? In other words, you might remember that old character in the Bible, Job, who lost all of that, everything. Does he stop being who he is as a result of that? Well, it's certainly going to have an impact on you. But if you lost everything you have and everybody spoke ill of you and you couldn't do all the things you could do, would you cease being you? Second question I have for you, not only who are you, but what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You're taking up space, okay? So what are you doing with that space? You're not only unique, I always love that. You are unique, just like everybody else. You are special, just like everybody else. There's some truth in that, this kind of paradox of we're all different, we all have our own thumbprint, we're all special, but everybody is. Not everybody lives with those two things simultaneously going on, but are aware of that, but it's true. You have a reason for being here. Do you know what that reason is? Do you know what that purpose is? And all of us have a purpose. Imagine if you decided you were going to add a deck to the back of your house. Okay, and you have no idea how to do this, but you order all the supplies. You tell your buddy who's a contractor, I want to add a deck to my house. I'm doing it myself. So he drops off all the supplies you would need. And now in your backyard, you have this big mound of all this lumber and screws and bolts and nuts, and you got all these tools that will be necessary to put this deck together and no instructions. Okay, that's with instructions and knowledge, it would be an overwhelming job for somebody like me. Imagine you have no knowledge of how any of these tools work. So you've seen a deck before, so you just start in your imagination trying to go about building a deck. And you start trying to saw with a hammer and hammer with a screwdriver. Can you see the problem? If you don't know the purpose of the tools, then you're likely to misunderstand and use them in the wrong way. So what is the purpose of your life? And if you don't know what the purpose of your life is, can you see that there's a problem? You're likely to misuse this life. And are you really going to be happy with the results? You might build this broken, crummy structure out in your backyard and say, no, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Now that I've built it, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Or you know what? You might end up saying, this isn't working. This isn't working. My life isn't working. Okay, it probably isn't working. So one of the reasons it might not be working is maybe you don't have a clear understanding of what is supposed to be. It's an interesting thought. Thoughts that challenge us. Okay. My last question is, where are you headed? What are you moving toward? You know, it's been said that in order for a person to be happy, they have to have something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to. And when you're missing one of those, you're going to feel discouraged. If you're missing two of those, you're going to feel despair. And if you're missing all three of those, your life is very dark. And you know it is. Maybe there's been times in your life when you were missing those. Something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to. What are you looking forward to? Where's your life headed? Where is it going? What's the destination of all of this? What are you moving toward? What's the goal here that you're trying to accomplish? Like it or not, you're headed in a direction. Your life is going in a direction. Whether you want to believe that or not, it doesn't matter, because your life is moving somewhere. It's moving to a destination. How satisfied will you be when you end up at that destination? And, you know, you could make this into a preachy sermon about eternity, but let's just talk about life. Like, let's just talk about getting to old age and everything that has happened to get you to the point of old age. And you're looking back now over your life. You're looking back over the life you lived. How satisfied are you going to be? Sure, there's going to be problems in your life. Ask anybody in their 80s and they will tell you about the hardships that they've gone through. But what's interesting is a lot of times those older folks will talk about those problems, pains, challenges, hardships sicknesses, illnesses, job loss, and they'll do it with sort of this peaceful smile about them of how even now in their old age, those bitter times have become sweet in their memories. Not everything, of course, but many of those things that were worried about and fretted over during life now look back with a sort of fondness about them. So fast forward, let's try to live with the end in mind. Let's try to put ourselves 20, 30, 50, 60 years into the future, looking back at younger self. What advice would old Tom give to, well, medium old Tom? What advice would old Tom give to medium old Tom about what should be done in order to alter the course so that I end up more in a place that I really want to be in life? How satisfied will you be when you end up there? How different might things be if we started with that end in mind? Are you, and here's really the challenge for us, are we drifting through life? And by drifting, realize that means your personality's in charge, dictating everything, yelling at people when they are boring, yelling at people when they make things lame, yelling at people and being frustrated with them when they don't load the dishwasher right, hurt and away from people that are trying to love you because they're not loving you the way you want, or frustrated and exhausted, chasing so many things in life, spending so much time worried about things that we have no control over. Somebody said, I remember reading, I should just say it that way. I remember reading, somebody said, how did you end up such a happy, friendly, kind old man? And he said, well, all the things in life that I should have worried about, I didn't. And so much of life we worry and fret and try to change and try to manage. And whatever we can change, we should. If we can, we should. But much of life we can't. But we can all ask the question, like, who's in charge here? Me or the personality? Am I drifting through life aimless without any destination in mind? Because that's probably where I'll end up. I'll end up, having to just get to that point in life. Look what happens when a 7 starts thinking about these things. They kind of slow down. They kind of slow down and kind of choke. Jesus talked about 2 kinds of roads you can go on. The wide road that everybody finds that ends in destruction, or the narrow road that ends in life. And it's interesting to think, what road am I on? Am I on the wide road that I don't even think about? I'm not even aware I'm on a road. If you're going to go somewhere, typically we have a destination in mind. Not always. Sometimes we're just out for a drive. Are you just out for a drive in life? Are you just cool with whatever? Maybe you are. And sometimes that's not so bad, but don't be angry when you end up nowhere. Don't be angry. Don't be angry at life or at God or yourself or your family when you end up nowhere, because that was your destination. Don't pick the road based on how easy the road is to travel. Don't pick the road based on who's willing to go with you. Don't choose the road based on all the sights that are to be seen along this path. You pick the road based on where is the destination this road is taking me. And sometimes the road we need to be on is not an easy road to walk. It's not an easy road, and maybe there's not very many people with us, but we don't choose the road based on how pleasant the road is. We choose the road based on where we hope to end up in life. Good questions. Who are you? What are you doing here? And where are you headed? Okay, thoughtful reflections with Mr. Tom. All right, take care, guys. As always, be blessed and be present to life. I'll see you next time.